Hello and welcome to Realize Live 2020. Thank you for joining us here virtually. Today, this session, we're talking about resource utilization with Masaba, Canada, using Opcenter scheduling. The goal today and kind of the agenda is to talk about how Masaba was using Opcenter scheduling to achieve an improved resource utilization. So kind of that journey when they started looking for a way, what the challenges they were facing and why they were looking at a solution like Opcenter scheduling. And then we'll also be tying into how having an established system already that they've been using for about a year now, and how that's able to help them with the current climate of COVID-19 and all that. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Your speakers today are myself, Blake Lucan. I'm a business development specialist with SNIC Solutions. SNIC Solutions is a value-added reseller for Siemens Opcenter products. And we are joined today with John Elmes, a manufacturing manager from Masaba, Canada. So thank you, John, for joining us. If you could get a little introduction about yourself and Masaba and your role there, we'll get started.
Okay, I'm a manufacturing manager here at Masaba. We employ 30 employees. We manufacture portable screening, crushing, conveying, wash plants for the aggregate and mining industry. We start from basically design stage right out to final product for the end user. We started in 2009 in Canada as just distribution. We found an overwhelming need and we needed to meet our deadlines. We needed to open a manufacturing facility up here in Canada. And then we proceeded to do so about 6 years ago. And it's been a growth ever since.
Great, and your role as manufacturing manager, you touch on that a little bit.
Okay, as manufacturing manager, I manage all the personnel in the shop, then also manage our incoming and outgoing product, all our parts purchases, anything like that that has to be manufactured is what I take care of.
Awesome. So knowing that and your, I guess your industry here, the bullets on the screen that we have right now are what we're seeing as trends of business challenges for a lot of our customers. Especially right now, there's a lot of demand uncertainty, whether that's because of suppliers or however your industry is being affected, complexity increases, those sort of things we're seeing across the board. For yourself and Masaba, what are some of those business challenges you're seeing? Maybe that you were seeing a year ago when we started this project and that you were looking to get some help on, and as well as what you're seeing today with COVID and kind of how that's changed.
What we've seen up in Ontario or in Canada is the increasing demand for our product, for a custom built product. So the customers get what they want instead of just something they can buy in someone's inventory. So they get that which suits their needs. So there's been a high demand for that. And the demand also, what we're finding is the plants are getting larger. So higher tonnage, less setup and more permanent setup. So with that, I think is where we've seen a growth in our business, which is where we started from. So that's one of the key points, I think, is we've seen a really large demand for these custom plants. So each one, which makes it hard to plan because you're not building the same thing every time. So you kind of have to use your knowledge to estimate time, how long it's going to take to build in the shop, how long it's going to take to design. So those are always moving numbers for us. And scheduling was one of those things that we needed to really nail down and be flexible with and be able to move it around. So
I see, yeah, and I can imagine, like we said, right now with all the changes that are going on, just that complexity, managing all that can become very cumbersome. So kind of taking those challenges and relating them to manufacturing and on the shop floor, how they're affected. So what we like to do is break that down into 3 different departments or segments, or sales, manufacturing, and finance, and they each kind of have their own goals. Sales has that on-time delivery, customer satisfaction. Manufacturing is more about your utilization, your efficiencies, and while finance is on the stock and the cost of the product. And I think, talking about complexity, talking about meeting customer needs, all those kind of go in a triangle. They all balance each other out, and you try to improve one, it kind of pulls the other. So I think it can be a big balancing capacity, or a big balancing challenge, I should say. What have you guys really seen in that sense, and where were you focusing on starting this project? It sounds like from your challenges, a lot of that was around manufacturing, planning, and getting that visibility to see where you guys are at on your projects.
Yeah, it's really getting a true understanding of our actual lead times, and being able to adjust them accordingly to what's actually happening in the shop, because we're taking something that hasn't been built before, and we may have quoted it from a product that we've done that's similar to it, but this customer wanted a couple extra things, which in turn completely changed the whole design, which then could be more shop hours for that project, which as you know, it'll affect everything down the line, everything that's coming up, everything that we have on the go. So to be able to relay me for scheduling is to really be able to tell the sales team on how far we really are. Are we 12, 14 weeks out? Are we 8 weeks out? So that's like one of the key factors, and also keeping our customers in the loop on when they can actually see their product. We take most of our orders in the fall for the upcoming year, and everybody in our industry wants it when the weather breaks and it's starting to get, and the pits start to open, and they need their product in March, early March, late March. So everybody kind of wants the same end date, but when they order it is always changing. And how can we get the most amount of productivity out in our what we call our busy season?
Got it. So really a big balance between that sales and manufacturing, but as they're working together to both achieve the goals of the company, essentially.
Yeah, the goals of the company and the goals of our customers.
Yep. So, that's a good background on where you guys were and where you are and why you were looking at scheduling in the first place. But let's kind of take a step back on what scheduling is and what Opcenter APS does and how it's able to solve those challenges that you guys have. So from a high level, it's all about balancing that demand and capacity, kind of exactly what we're talking about. Between the different departments, you're finding a balance. So Opcenter is taking in all of your constraints, your labor, your resources, your incoming goods, and taking those into algorithms and giving you guys the visibility to do what if scenarios and plan for the upcoming, regardless of what's happened. So if you have machine downtime, you have labor or employees that are out sick, all that needs to be taken into account, and it can become very challenging to do that but without the right tools in place. So from a Masaba standpoint, it sounds like really from the high level you were looking at the scheduling of balancing all that out and getting that visibility. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. The biggest challenge we have is because in our ERP system that we're currently using in the scheduling program that we first tried to use with them, it was machine based, so it was based on the capabilities of the machine, where I find our business is more based on the capabilities of our employees, and our employees are our resource, and our employees can do switch from multiple departments. Like our assembly team, they're also certified welders, so they can come in and help out the fab department when need be. So we've broken it up into saw, machine, fab, sandblast, paint, and assembly as our resources, with each different amount of people in each one. Which Opcenter gave us was the capability to move those people around and see how it affects our schedule. So if we found that fab was falling behind and we needed to add a couple guys for a week, we could do that, and then we could see the improvement of the dates down the line and how it was going to affect everything. So.
Got it. Yeah, and I think that kind of goes with breaking that down between the planning and scheduling. So Opcenter is the two modules where they break apart planning, that longer term. You're putting things into monthly buckets. You're looking at your resources, what to make, what facility you're making that at, and how much. But you're not sequencing that. That's not down to the hours and the minutes, which scheduling is doing. and you're executing really against that plan. So for you guys, managing the constraints, like you said, your people, whether they're moving around, different resources, that sort of thing, comes with scheduling. So I think, from the start, you guys were right on cue with what to look into and where you were looking with the scheduling. And it's good to have that background on kind of what you were looking for there. So to touch on that a little bit more, like you were saying, maybe somebody's moving departments, maybe a resource is down. Just with one line and 5 resources on that line, there's 120 combinations. So whether you're using Excel, whether you're using, a standard out of the box from your ERP, with one line, maybe you can manage that when you have to reschedule and move people around, but even that can be very difficult. And if we add another line there, that number jumps up to over 14,000 different combinations. So right away, you can see the value that a tool has. It's going to give you that visibility and help you make those best decisions, because really these numbers are just too high for one person to manage on their own. And I think from your standpoint, that's one thing you guys really, a benefit you guys have seen right away is just getting that visibility and able to make those decisions when changes occur.
Correct.
So, and starting out, where you guys were in your maturity, kind of in phase 1 here in the manual spreadsheets, using, nothing, or all out of the box from your ERP, not a lot of options there to give that visibility. And I think one thing that you guys have done really well is understanding that you're not going to get a system, push a button, and all of your resources and everything's going to be 100% optimized. It's really a maturity process. So, and that's one thing that's great about Opcenter is there are the different versions to help walk you along that. Maybe you're not ready for that ultimate custom solution yet, and you need to kind of start from step 1 to step 2 there, or phase 1 to phase 2. So can you talk a little bit about when you started, kind of where you were at again, and then where you were trying to go with the tool, and then kind of where you are now? Because I know we've together kind of worked and matured that out, and now we're kind of slowly automating more. So if you could kind of give that history there.
Yeah, basically, when we first got the tool, it was when we were starting to get all our orders coming in for the upcoming year. So we really used it, as you stated in a couple slides before, as the planning stage. So we really just used it as big ballpark, the main planning. We put in all the orders that we got, and then we estimated all the hours for each department, and we laid it out in Preactor, and it was a beautiful tool. We kind of saw where every end date was going to be, gave us high levels, but we weren't really finding the efficiencies yet. So then we started breaking it down even further, and we started another schedule, and we had another schedule for our fab department, which is 9 guys. We started allocating jobs to those 9 guys, so that we could maybe run, instead of just running the 2 jobs through the 2 plants through the shop at one time, we weren't running 3, but we were only taking those other 2 to about 60% completion, not full completion. But what it was doing was taking away those little windows of inefficiencies that we had. And without Opcenter, we wouldn't been able to do that. We wouldn't been able to see those. So the stage that we're working on this year is to break our plants down to even smaller weldments. And then that is pulled directly from inventors' bill of material. And then you guys helped us implement an importing system where we import this into an Excel. We get the Excel sheet ready, and then we import it directly into Opcenter, and it's been fantastic. So now we're really being able to put everything that we could in these small windows and really see how the shop is really working. And then not missing our end goals of when this needs to be done out of saw at this date, or this needs to be done out of fab so that assembly can start. So it's been really a really helpful tool.
Got it. So from the starting point, when we go back to starting this project, you're looking at very made to order shop, long lead times. You were breaking things down from a very high level, not really getting that visibility that you needed. So that was kind of phase 1, I guess, right? Is first, let's get everything in there. Let's see what we have to look out, and then let's start improving that now that we can. We have these windows, like you said. So, and kind of what you touched on is now you've gotten that down. So now let's keep going. Let's take that a step further and mature down. And it's kind of I don't want to say it's a never-ending process, but it's always kind of, okay, we've got this win, let's move on to the next. Any other use cases that you guys were facing then, or any new ones that have come about with the current COVID situation or anything like that with suppliers, anything around that?
Yeah, because of using the software to its full advantage now, we can see if we brought in this job and we put it in between priority 9 job and priority 10 job, how far out is priority 10 job going to be? We had a situation this year where there was 2 orders. And right now, same as anybody else in manufacturing, you're just trying to push your production time out. You want to fill your bucket as far as you can to see if you can get through this year with all the uncertainty that's going on. So we dropped this in, and we were able to see exactly when those the plant after would be done, and then we could relay that to our distributor because it was a stock order plant, so it wasn't sold to an end user. So we could be able to push that out, and then we were able to drop in those 2 other jobs, which in the grand scheme of things just gave us 2 more weeks of production. So without this tool, I don't think we would have been able to do it, but we wouldn't have been able to relay the information up front to our customers.
Got it. So when we look at the benefits, really, I think, again, we were talking about the different goals of the different departments, but at the end of the day, they're all together, right? They're all affected by one another. And I think what the benefits you're seeing really shows that improved resource utilization, you're able to see those windows and where you have them. And in turn, that's helping you improve your customer satisfaction by meeting your on-time deliveries, if not improving them and getting them out sooner. So, and with that becomes the visibility of it all too. So again, once you push one, you pull the other, but all these 3 things have really helped you achieve, it sounds like, those 3 areas, between sales, between manufacturing, and even between finance. So any other benefits that you guys are seeing or anything to touch on there?
Yeah, exactly like you said. It's now it gives us a uniform look. It's a full printed sheet that we use at every production meeting. So everybody knows exactly where we're at. And everybody knows that, well, if I squeeze this rework job in and it's going to take this 20 hours, we see how that's going to affect the rest of the flow down the line. So we know that, well, okay, maybe we can squeeze in 20 hours, but if it was an 80-hour job, we probably wouldn't be able to put it in without affecting the deliveries of our other orders in the future. So it's been a very useful tool. Stopped a lot of arguments between production and sales, of course. And it's helped us, like I said, find those gaps to get more through the shop. So.
Got it. Yep. And thank you for that. So, if you were going back, I guess, and restarting this journey from when you were starting to look at a tool like Opcenter scheduling, or if you were giving advice to somebody who's going down that road, what were some of the challenges along the way, or what was some of the advice that you'd like to give them?
Well, I think the challenges were understand that it's not something that's going to be, you're going to put it in, you're going to put all your information in, and it's a click of a button and you're going to be off and running, and everybody's going to get the information that they need. One, you have to learn the software, you have to learn the program. There's lots of tools in it, lots of different reports in it that you have to understand, and do it in small steps. Don't try and go there and put all your information in and break it down to the smallest level. I suggest do similar to what we did. Big picture, run it, see if you're kind of hitting the dates that your milestones that you have set out, and then start implementing the more detailed items.
Right. Well, great. Looking, I think we're about out of time here. So, John, thank you again very much for joining us today and taking the time here to talk about your journey and where you guys are at. I think it was very helpful and informative. Again, if anyone out there wants to contact myself, the information is on the screen. And wish you all the best and staying safe. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.